Location: between chapters 10 and 13 of Ghostwater.
Knew the heavens hated me,
Yaren muttered. Dragons flew overhead, their wings snapping like sails in the wind as they passed above her. They were all gold dragons, and all of the gold stage as well. Mercy had made a joke about that. Yaren wasn't in the joking mood. The barrier had fallen 2 days before, leaving the way open for her and Mercy to reach the portal. They should have been inside Ghostwater already, hunting for Lyndon. When gold dragons first passed by them, Yaren had been sure it was coincidence. The second time was bad luck. By the third time, she knew they were looking for someone. Their hunt was causing Yaren no end of frustration. She ducked back into their scripted tent, where Mercy was hunched over with knees pulled to her chest. There was barely enough room for the two of them inside, and they had to keep their voices low.
"It's probably my fault,"
Mercy said sadly.
"My mother doesn't get along with the dragons, you might say. Neither does Aunt Charity. And my uncle—"
Yaren spoke barely above a whisper.
"You think they'd snatch you from a sage's backyard?" "I didn't think so, but I don't know who else they could be looking for."
Yaren gestured for quiet. Mercy wasn't keeping her voice down enough, if you asked Yaren. They'd scraped together a simple script that should bend wind aura enough to muffle their voices, but it was the furthest thing from foolproof. The script couldn't be too strong if they wanted to avoid notice, and neither Mercy nor Yaren were the most proficient scripters in the world. They had filled the gaps in their knowledge with guesswork and half-remembered sigils.
"No sense in making up stories,"
Yaren whispered.
"Could be they're looking for you, could be they're bored and drawing a map. Makes no difference in where we need to go."
She glanced out of the gap in the tent flap, where she could just make out the trees over a ridge. According to their map, the secondary entrance to Ghostwater was right there. If she wouldn't be torn apart by flying lizards, she could make it there in an hour. Mercy patted her knee with a black-gloved hand.
"The heavens don't hate you."
"What?"
"They sent Lyndon to save you, didn't they? Doesn't sound like they hate you."
Reflexively, Yaren almost said something about just who had done the saving, but that wasn't how she really felt.
"If they hadn't, I'd be dead in the snow,"
Yaren admitted. It felt uncomfortable being so honest with someone she barely knew, but it hadn't taken long to realize that Mercy was trustworthy. Too trustworthy, in Yaren's estimation. Mercy nudged Yaren's knee with her own.
"See, there's a plan for you." "Whose plan? And how do you know it doesn't end with me dead in the sand instead of the snow? Besides that, what if I—"
Yaren snapped her teeth closed. She had almost said more than she planned to. But Mercy leaped on the opening.
"No, go on."
Yaren braced herself to continue before her courage failed.
"What if I let them down? Lyndon saved me, I've saved him, and we go round and round. It's worked so far, but I don't want to be the link that breaks that chain."
Immediately, Yaren wanted to take the words back. They sounded so stupid when she heard them out loud. Mercy didn't make fun of her, though Yaren thought a little mocking might be deserved. Instead, the Akura girl chewed on her lower lip and stared at the inner wall of the tent.
"Fate is real,"
Mercy said.
"Did you know that?"
Yaren's gold signs were poking into her back, and she shifted in an attempt to find a little more room.
"Don't know that anyone under Sage knows enough to say anything. My master couldn't see the future, and he didn't seem to need it."
Truth be told, Yaren's master had often mocked sages with predictive powers. It was something they could do, she didn't doubt that, but clearly it wasn't an all-powerful technique. The sword sage had faced many of his peers in combat and come out on top. If they could see his every move in advance, he would have had no chance.
"I don't understand it either, but my mother can see fate, or a shadow of it."
Yaren had known that already, and she could believe almost anything of a sacred artist as powerful as Mercy's mother. But she didn't know how much Akura Malice's predictions came from some kind of mystic oracle technique and how much came from knowing 1,000 times more than everyone else. Was there even a difference?
"She would probably say that the heavens don't hate us,"
Mercy continued.
"Our enemies hate us. Bad luck isn't a curse. It's something we can fight."
Yaren didn't see how that changed their situation.
"And what would she say to do about this?"
Mercy pursed her lips.
"She might not be the best person to ask. You know someone better. She'd say it was our job to bring more bad fortune to our enemies than they bring to us."
Yaren heard a dragon's roar from outside the tent, somewhat muffled by the noise-dispersing script. It came from overhead, so they weren't going anywhere anytime soon.
"Can't wait to meet your mother,"
Yaren said, settling into a more comfortable position.
"Sounds like we'd get along.